6 blood tests were run on the same 970 adults. Each claims to read your biological age, how old your body seems, whatever your birthday says. The researchers asked which one predicts who keeps their body and mind working with age. The DNA tests did best. The one built from inflammation signals didn't. The researchers ran all 6 tests on these 970 adults, followed for 3 years, against one function score, a measure of how well people walk, think, see and hear, grip and hold their mood. 5 of the tests read chemical tags on your DNA, and all 5 tracked lower function in people whose tests ran fast. GrimAge, the one trained to predict death and disease, tracked it strongest. The inflammation test showed no link. You'd expect the 6 tests to agree, since your biological age should be one number, and inflammation is famously blamed for aging, so that tests should have won. But the 6 tests disagreed, and the inflammation one was the flat one. And one DNA test even flipped in old age, reading faster aging as slightly protective by 90, though that flip isn't statistically solid. Here's what one of these tests actually does. As you age, tiny chemical tags build up at specific spots along your DNA. It's the same DNA in every cell, but the tags keep changing over a lifetime. A clock is a formula the researchers trained on thousands of people. It reads those tags and guesses an age. Compare that guess to your birthday, and if it comes out older, your clock is running fast. That gap, how many years older or younger than your real age the test says you are, is all age acceleration means. Here's why they disagree. A formula like this only ever learns to predict the one thing it was trained on. 3 of the tests were trained just to guess your birthday, so they mostly capture ordinary aging and tracked function weekly. GrimAge was trained on something different to predict death and disease. It was built partly from DNA stand-ins for smoking and 2 proteins that climb as the body weakens, so it was already tuned to decline and tracked function best. The researchers think that's why it won. The inflammation test was trained on inflammation signals, a real but different process, so here it came up flat. For GrimAge, each decade the test ran ahead of your birthday, tracked about 3 points lower on the 100-point function score. The link held at 2.6, even after accounting for weight, smoking, education, and other illnesses. Mobility took the biggest hit, more than 4 points. The gap also grew with age, up to about 6 points by 90, and mostly in men. From 70 to 80, men whose tests ran a decade fast lost roughly twice as much function as men whose tests didn't. In women, that steepening didn't hold. If a test only sees what it was trained to predict, then to predict function, you'd train a test on function itself. That's exactly what this same team did next. They built a new DNA clock trained on the function score and tested it against who survived. Whether that function-trained test beats GrimAge, and whether any of this holds up in a real treatment trial, is what would settle it. 6 ways to read one person's biological age, and they didn't agree, because each test was taught to predict a different thing. The death and disease clocks saw who'd keep walking and thinking. The inflammation one didn't. So your biological age isn't one number. It's a guess shaped by what the test was trained on, and here it flags risk, not something to act on.